Welcome to Roadmap, how to take 3 listings a week until you're ready for more. Each week we interview a great agent who is consistently taking 2, 3, 4 listings a week. And we have an exciting guest today. We encourage you to take notes and apply as much of their knowledge as quickly as you can. And then use the copycat principle. If you're watching on Hoboken 7 or on the Lead Gen Facebook group, you'll have an opportunity to ask questions during the broadcast. Let me introduce my co-host from San Diego, Carly Hathaway. That's carlyhathaway.com. Hi, Carly. How's the real estate business?
Hi, Ren. The real estate business is fabulous. Seller's market, as always. Everyone wants to live in San Diego, so good time to be an agent.
Good. Sell, sell, sell. Yeah. Before I introduce our guest today, I want to remind everyone we are also simulcasting the show on the private Lead Gen group on Facebook. They have 49,622 members, so we have a large audience there today as well. And we'll be pausing for a commercial message during the show as a thank you to the Lead Gen folks. So I want to introduce our guest today from Hudson County, New Jersey, Hoboken, Jersey City, right across from Manhattan. You know where it is. You've been there. Or if you haven't, this is a time to buy a home up there or send people you know to our good friend, Michael Klein. Hi, Michael. Welcome.
How are you, Ren?
Glad you can be here.
Thank you for having me.
It looks like good property. I want to live on Maxwell Lane. You know where that is?
I do. I live there myself.
Oh, nice.
Yes. There's some beautiful homes. My gosh.
Yeah, mostly condos.
Mostly condos? Okay.
Well, you can only build up, I guess, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, but you're talking in the millions, condos in the millions. Yeah. So location. So good deal. So if they want to send you some business, because people will watch and they're like, I've got a client for there. Well, how do they reach you?
They could either call me or send me a text at 201-320-5371. Email address is michael@mkgroupproperties.com.
Okay, great. And it sounds like they could go to mkgroupproperties.com and see what you're all about as well. Would that
Well, it's actually, it's not up at the moment. It's being redone.
Okay. All right. So that's the email address. Perfect. Okay, good. What's the goal for this year?
The goal for this year was 100.
Good. Still the goal? Or are you on a stretch goal now?
No, I'm a little bit off at the moment. We're definitely seeing a little bit of a market shift here.
Okay. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
What's going on?
I like your price point. It can't be 100. It's got to be a good number, or even if it was 85, it'd be a good
Yes. No, we're definitely seeing days on market increase. We're starting to see price reductions, and even lately in the last 2 or 3 weeks, struggling to see buyers a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, in a funny way, if you're a listing agent, doesn't that make it a little easier if the market slows just a little bit?
In one way, it makes it a little bit easier because the agents that don't know what they're doing fall by the wayside and drop out. So I actually look forward to this market. Of course, managing why people aren't getting showings and getting offers, then of course is the other side of the coin.
No, there you go. There's the balance.
Yeah, managing the seller's expectations.
That's correct.
Well, good. Well, yeah, I think I'll always take a slightly slower market if it's at all possible, because you can charge, then they need our services, and we.
That's correct. It's the market that actually says, oh, you actually have to have skills to do something, and not the market where, you list your home at 11 o'clock and 12 o'clock, there's 3 offers, anybody could do it.
Right. And maybe they didn't list it. Maybe they just put it on a postcard on the front door.
Yeah.
So good.
So Michael, where does the majority of your business come from? Expireds, for sell by owners, or referrals?
So I'm going to say mostly referrals and database.
Gotcha.
I talk about doing for sale by owners. I very rarely do them at the moment, which is my downfall. Probably part of a mindset, only because when our market's cooking, the for sale by owners here get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 offers themselves. So I've just never really concentrated on working them that much.
So you'll go back to those when it gets slower.
I'll go back to them when it gets slower.
Gotcha.
So I will work them, but just not that much. Expireds also. In our general market that we've been through the last 7, 8, 9 years, I'm lucky if I see 2 or 3 expireds a day.
Gotcha.
That's it.
Okay.
Got a few of those.
And how long have you been in this business?
15 years.
15 years. Okay, good. And you obviously you're very successful. I mean, if your goal is 100 deals, that's pretty amazing. Can you give us some tips? Like, obviously your first year you weren't doing 100 deals.
No, I did 3,000 my first year.
Okay, all right.
Was that in commissions?
Yes.
That must have been a tough year.
I was going to say, as far as tips to people out there that are either getting started or looking to grow, the first is remember that you do not have a job. And what I mean by that is I sometimes meet with new agents that come into our company. And the first question I ask them is how many people are switching jobs or how many are starting their first job. And inevitably, everybody will raise their hand to one of those two questions. And I tell them that they should all actually leave because selling real estate is not a job, it's your own business. And unless you have the mentality of it's your own business, then you don't belong here because your boss doesn't care if you're here. Nobody's giving you a salary. Nobody's giving you benefits. So there has to be some type of self-motivation of wanting to succeed.
So what should they do? How do they self-motivate?
It's a tough question for some people, but obviously you have to have a desire to want to go and improve where you're at, both in life, in education, and in financial status. From there, talk to people that have already done it, maybe mimic them, model them, be willing to work. Just because you see successful people doesn't mean that they no longer work. I'm in the office every day at between 6:45 and 7 a.m. And most days, I don't get home most days until 7:30 p.m.
You grind every day.
Every day.
So you've got work ethic, and I noticed where you're working, you're at a company where you've surrounded yourself by high producers, generally speaking. Would it be a fair statement that the company you work with is at Liberty, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. That there's an unusually high number of strong people there with work ethic. Does that draw you in compared to some of your a lot of your competition?
It doesn't draw me in. I mean, if I think of all the strong agents in my market and what companies they work for, I think every agency always has a few strong people, a few people in the middle, and probably the majority of people are towards the bottom with no work ethic, just strong desires.
Okay.
I don't get fixated on other people in the company. I go into my office and I close my door. I couldn't even tell you the names of half the agents in my office because I haven't met them.
So you're ultra focused when you're at work?
Pretty much.
Okay. And so you get to the office around 6:45. What does a typical day look like? What do you start out doing? Do you have a regular, very strict routine, or you kind
of? I have a strict routine that I stick to about 90% of the time. Okay. Depends on the days. Certain days I start role plays at 7 a.m. in the morning. Some days I don't role play till 7:30. I could be also doing script practice. Again, it depends what time I'm doing that in. Okay. Working on different scripts. The goal is to do it a half hour a day. Okay. Although, of course, my coach tells me not to. I'll probably spend 20 minutes in the morning before prospecting on any email that I missed last night.
Okay.
So you have a coach. So now that's a form of surrounding yourself with motivation and accountability.
I do. I've had a coach for probably, 8 years.
Okay. There are a lot of coaching companies out there, and a lot of different coaches, independent and companies. You mind sharing who that's with?
I coach with the Mike Ferry organization.
Okay. Gotcha. Great.
And you have found success with that?
Extreme
success. Okay.
Good.
So who are you calling first in the morning? If you're coming in and you're role playing, what's the first call?
After the role play?
Yeah.
I'll generally hit the expireds first.
Okay, good.
And obviously, because that's number one, a lot of people are going to hit them.
Yeah.
And somebody that I've been talking to in my database, they're still going to be there in an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. So I'll try to get through the expireds.
Okay. And then when you're calling your database, what are you talking to them about?
It varies depending on the time of the year. I'm going to say from my database calls, I probably actually reach no more than 15 to 20% of them. Most of it's voicemail.
Okay. And you'll leave a voicemail.
Always leave a voicemail.
Okay.
So 1 out of 6, 1 out of 5, and 1 out of 6, you're having a live conversation with. And then correct. Voicemail with a meaningful message is a very powerful touch. When you leave voicemail for someone you know and they know you, it actually works.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. To me, even if you don't think you're leaving a meaningful message, even for them to hear your voice 3-4 times a year and knowing that you're there to help them out, leaving a message, is there anything I can assist you with? Is there any market updates that you're looking for? So on and so forth. That is a meaningful message.
Yeah. For strangers, it's a waste of time. But if they know you and you know them, we've done something. You've done something there.
Yeah.
We'll give you a nice yield. That's fantastic. What about old expireds? Do you do those?
I do them periodically. It's actually on my goal to do it a little bit more this year. Okay. I've probably been a little bit challenged. I'm in the middle of looking for a second assistant right now. That will allow me to get rid of some of the stuff I'm not supposed to do, which will allow me to be on the phone more.
Okay, good. Can I work with that one little piece? Sorry, Carly. Can I work with that one little piece? Because we're at the time of the year. It starts in May, and then we lose a lot of agents between May and Labor Day, first week of September, because they are working on their pendings, and they're like you're hiring somebody else right now, so you aren't being your own assistant. You're actually continuing to look for business. Because would it be fair to say, Michael, that the public, for the first time in months, is now ready for a real estate agent to engage with them?
Very, very potentially.
The time of the year that agents stop talking to them.
There's somebody to speak to 375 days a year. I stuck in an extra 10.
I see that.
There's always somebody that wants to talk about real estate. I've sold homes the day before Christmas, the day after New Year's. The only time there's no home to sell is when you, as the salesperson, convince yourself that there's no home to sell.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. So I'm going to call you December 20th and do a little quick show, because we need, there's the opposite pole.
Yeah.
Right now, the public are like, where are the agents? In November, the agents are like, where's the public? But if we have the mindset, we can make it happen. So.
Yeah. Yep. And I think hiring an assistant is so important. And I was talking to Ren the other day, and he had such a good idea about sharing an assistant. Ren, can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, well, I don't want to steal his thunder, but we were talking about agents that, they're like, I can't afford to spend $3,000 or $4,000 or whatever it may be a month to hire an assistant. And I'm like, okay, well, 3 of you can hire a part-time assistant, each of you paying $700 a month, and have them come in 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, and you've got an assistant for $700.
A friend of mine recently taught me a good way to look at the value of spending on your business, which is what an assistant is.
Yeah.
And most of us, myself included, have a habit of saying, if they're having a slow year, I can't go spend on my business because I'm slow right now. She has me looking at it opposite. She said, if you had a good year last year and the year before and the year before, should you not be taking some of the money that you already earned and investing it on the future of your business so you can continue to earn at that level or higher?
Yeah,
exactly.
There's always a way to make this work, and it's the chicken or the egg. If you don't have the money to hire an assistant, it's because you're being the assistant. And if you're looking for a business at $200 an hour, in your market, $400 an hour, you're going to win right out of the gate. Yeah.
It's all about keep producing, right?
That's it.
Can we do, I feel like we haven't done this on the show in a while. Can we do a little role play?
We can, I guess.
Are you scared? I'll be nice if you want me to be. I'd rather be mean, but if you want me to be nice, I will.
Before you do that, you were just asking about what I prospect.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest things I can advise to people, and every market's going to be a little bit different, but also try and think outside the box. Try and think what people in your area are not doing. The reason I bring that topic up, so I know a lot of people prospect for probate, which is something that I have experimented with in the past with almost no success. And one of the things that I thought about was, my area is a young area. So I said,
there are no dead people there. They go to Miami and then die.
Yeah, they're not in the market that I want to be in there, in the other part of the town that's not interested. But what I realized was, I'm in a young area where more people get divorced.
Oh,
there you go.
And so what I did was I said, great, how do I meet family law attorneys? And I start prospecting, calling attorneys that I know to introduce me to family law attorneys, which led to an organization that does CE credits for family law attorneys. And I've been sponsoring 8 of their meetings a year for 3.5 years.
Wow. Brilliant.
What a great idea.
As a result of that, something came about 2 years ago that I never would have dreamed possible. My thought was one day to meet the marital attorneys. The marital attorneys refer you, and hopefully the judge hears your name enough times that maybe the judge could recommend you. But as a result, the judge was actually at the meeting, and I think I've done 5 already this year. I'm court appointed by the judge.
Wow.
Very often.
Wow.
And she's now referring me to other judges. So they're going for a
Nice.
divorce. They can't make a decision. The judge is fed up with them. She just says, you're selling your home. Michael's your realtor. You don't have a say in the value. You don't have a say in the real estate attorney. And Michael will tell you when you have an accepted offer.
Wow, that's
Nice.
amazing.
Yeah.
This is a great strategy. That's
Yeah.
a great strategy.
Yeah.
It takes a little bit more of a skill. You are dealing with a lot of animosity, a lot of fighting.
A lot of emotion.
But at the end of the day, I charge higher commission
Yeah.
because it's more work. And at the end of the day, it's another source. If one source is drying up, you have to have other sources to fill in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, at the beginning you said, look at what people aren't doing in your market. Take a look around and what are people not paying attention to? And that's how you found this idea.
Yeah.
That's great. That is a fantastic idea. Good. Good. Thanks for sharing that. And I have a funny feeling we're going to see a lot of email related to that. And people will be typing in questions on Facebook and on the Vulcan 7 network. So folks, type in your questions now because we're getting close to that time to ask a few questions.
Yeah. So Michael, you said you're hiring another assistant. So you have a team, I'm assuming. Can you tell us about your team?
Right now, it's myself, 1.2 assistants. I have one woman who comes in a couple days a week and just does either data entry or looks up some phone numbers for me. And I have 2 buyer's agents.
Okay. Good. Sounds like a great structure.
All righty. Well, good. I've got a question that's rolled in. Rhett Elton wants to know, can you restate that type of meeting that you sponsored that led to the divorce attorney connections?
So all professionals need to go for CE credits. I'm not sure if the organization that I sponsor the meeting for is around the United States, but it's called the Inns of the Court.
Gotcha.
So I would find out from a marital attorney in your area if there is a local chapter of the Inns of the Court.
Okay.
And in my area, they do meetings 8 times a year. And when I was first introduced to the woman who ran the organization, she said, would you want to sponsor a meeting? And I said, what's involved? And she said, it's $500 a meeting. And I said, how many meetings? And she said, there's 8 a year. And I said, great, I'll take the year. And
Nice.
huge, because they're not used to that. But my biggest thing is no matter what meetings you sponsor, you have to realize it's a long-term commitment. You don't go to a meeting and say, oh, it didn't work. I didn't get any referrals tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're getting in front of these people in a repeating manner.
Yeah.
Coming as the authority, and it's very face to face.
Yes.
When you look at communication in our business, it's a contact sport. Face to face being number 1, on the phone being number 2. You know, personal communication, writing number 3 on down. You know, but most people would rather post something somewhere and hope.
Yeah. No. It works, and you have to be selfless, meaning I've told attorneys that I know that they're going to have clients that have questions that aren't selling their homes, but they're welcome to either call me themselves or have their client call me. I'd be happy to answer their questions because I know that probably 3 out of 4 or 3 out of 5 clients that they have aren't selling their home or are able to settle the dispute with their spouse and don't need my services except for a question. But the payday is the one that does need it. So you have to answer the questions for the ones that don't if you want to build a relationship properly.
Yeah. I like what you're saying because a lot of people come in with commission breath and people spot it right away. If the thoughts we're having are, how do I serve these people? Then the right words come out of our mouth.
That's correct.
And we win. So that's huge.
Yeah, I agree with you. Michael, in the beginning of this, you started talking a little bit about mindset. Can we kind of go back to that a little bit? And how do you stay focused day to day? Because there are hard days sometimes. No one's answering the phone. You're getting people hanging up on you, whatever the case. Like, what do you do every day when there's days you don't want to make the calls?
So I think the days I don't want to make the calls, I wind up making more database calls because they're softer or easier. I don't think you could find a person in the world in any industry or any sales job that doesn't have a day that they're like, I don't want to do this today. So for starters, I try and work through it, but I don't think there's anything wrong with once in a blue moon saying, you know what, I just need a day to just veg and don't do it and regenerate yourself. I just keep chugging forward. I've always been a self-driven person. I don't need anybody to tell me to go to work, or, you know, some people say, what's your goal? How much money you want to make? My answer has always been as much as I can.
I like that.
And, you know, even one of my accountability partners, he said, what are you thinking of? Some people use goals. I want to go sell 2 more homes or list 2 more homes so I can go on vacation. I want to list 2 more homes so I can go buy another home. But when you get to a certain level of success, I don't need to sell another home to go on vacation. I don't need to sell another home to go buy another home. If I want to do that stuff, I can. So you have to find other things to motivate yourself, which is where the self-motivation comes in.
So it's got to go higher and higher and higher.
You have to. If I want to go buy another home tomorrow, I'm going to go write a check and buy the home.
I love it. I love it.
We have some questions coming in.
Yes. You know, Alan wants to know how you market your listings to get an offer. This will be interesting.
How do I market them to get an offer? I don't know if there's any magic sauce like a lot of people think there are. Obviously, it goes on the MLS. The MLS is also going to take it to Realtor.com and Trulia and Zillow, et cetera, et cetera. I also use a company called VFlyer, which is similar to Postlets, which will send it out to a bunch of other sites, maybe the smaller sites. I do, depending on where the listing is, I might shoot an email of just listed off to my certain parts of my database. I will send just listed postcards to certain parts of my database. Okay. I will do just listed calls to certain parts of my database. Otherwise, I let all my employees, which is all the other agents in the community, sell the home for me.
Okay. There you go.
Great. Perfect. And then go get another listing.
Yes, or 2.
Sell, get under contract, tell the world you did it, get another because of it. Yes. Yeah. Sean Haney, I like a question like this, wants to know how you use Vulcan 7. I like that.
So Vulcan 7 has become, this is not a sales pitch, Vulcan 7 has become an intricate part of the way I do business. I use Vulcan 7, of course, to get my expired for sale by owners, even though I'm not using it for sale by owners at the moment. But being that we're in condos, I do a lot of just listed calls. So when I take the phone numbers from the people that I want to call, the buildings I want to call, I upload them into Vulcan. And I could schedule follow-up calls, et cetera, et cetera. We're in a big area of landlords. So I'll also, for example, I'll pull down all the properties that were rented the last year, upload as many of those people as I can into Vulcan, and just keep my calling going through that. And
then really it's and you call for rent by owners, FRBOs or whatever they call those?
We have almost none of those.
Okay, gotcha.
Around here, by me,
you just call the landlord and say, "Have you ever thought about selling?" Because you know they're not attached to the property.
Yeah, the tenants pretty much pay the fee over here when we rent the property. So the landlord's like, "Why should I?" Most of the time, why should I do it myself? I'm going to give it to somebody to do, and it doesn't cost me anything anyway.
Yeah.
When you look at talking to a landlord versus a homeowner, a lot of landlords own 10, 50, 100 properties. So when you talk to somebody like that, the odds of them having something to sell is way up compared to an individual.
I prospect a lot of landlords.
Yeah, because the yield's there. They're going to, they're bound to want to sell or exchange something for something more lucrative, change their portfolio at any given time.
Yeah, I represent a lot of landlords. It's not a lucrative part of the business, but at the end of the day, it's the service part. And almost every year, 5, 6, or 7 of them say it's time to sell. 5, 6, or 7 of them say it's time to buy another home.
Okay. Neil wants to know what systems you use to get phone numbers for all these people. I guess circle prospecting. We have Cole on ours. We also have the new Vulcan 7 neighborhood search, which has dramatically high quality phone numbers that just came out a few weeks ago. But it's expensive. It's expensive, folks.
You get what you pay for.
If you want to do an individual lookup. Some people I know use Kohl's. I don't personally like Kohl's resource, but there's different sources out there to be found.
Quite a few. You know, this has been great. You know, and your work ethic. You're a self-starter. Clearly, you're a self-starter. On the days when nobody else is doing anything, you're doing it. If you don't feel like calling, you call your database. You're like, this is a day I don't feel like it, so you call the easier one. You take softballs instead of hard balls now and then. So, you know, good for you. A lot of people need a bigger push, and you take some of that on with coaching. So should they be involved in some sort of coaching? Sounds like they should.
We all need the push.
What's your daily goal of contacts per day?
I rarely meet it, but my goal is 20.
Okay.
I do a lot of dialing to get to them, but I strive for 20. Once I get the new assistant in there, I think 20 will be a new brainer, and I'll probably strive for 25 to 30.
Yeah, to give people a perspective, where he is in Hudson County, there are only 4 people that have landlines. 4.
Probably. You know, the other thing is, depending on people live, a lot of people have single income families, so they can always get one of the spouses home. My area is probably 90% dual income families. So it's hard to reach people.
I agree. Yeah, if you get 20 where you are, man, you've had a good day.
Yeah.
One last comment. Mervyn wants to know about buyer agents. You said you mentioned 2 buyer agents. Do you work with buyers at all yourself, or how do you, you know, any little thoughts or processes on buyers?
My business over the last 7-8 years is about 65% sellers, 35% buyers. So I still take buyers around myself. I know a lot of a lot of agents that do primary listings don't. I have high-end property. It's hard to pass off a buyer client that wants to go spend $1.5 million and you know, I'm going to go take a paycheck home of $25,000.
Yeah.
I take them out.
Yeah.
You just charge 80% referral fee, Michael. and I'm actually serious. So,
why not?
Yeah, what the heck? I mean, I think I'd take your buyers around for 20% of that price range. I'll take them out. I'll be up there tomorrow.
Yep.
Give me a buyer.
Yep.
So anyway, I wanted to thank everybody for being here. This is a great show, Michael. I have to read a couple little spots here. I want to, for those of you that wanted to thank Aaron Wittenstein for allowing us to broadcast on Lead Gen on Facebook. If you want to get involved with them, they are facebook.com/groups/got-objections. He has a great program he does called trajectorynow.com. And finally, if you're watching on Facebook and you're not involved with us, Vulcan 7, make sure to sign up at vulcan7.com/leadgen for a special deal. Other than that, like Michael, at the end of you're done making your calls. It's around 11:30, 12, almost ready to go to lunch. Treat yourself with some delicious Grater's Mint Chocolate Chip. Reward yourself for making those 20 contacts in Hudson County, because, you know, $1.4 million for a house there. Well, actually, it's a condo. 522 square feet.
Right.
Actually,
Michael,
those were some lovely.
Thank you so much, Michael. It was really great.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. We'll see everyone back here next week when we have another exciting guest who will share those great secrets like Michael did.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you next week, Carly.
Bye, Ren.